Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to see that so many of you are attending this session. So this is a meeting for study abroad planning as first-year students. Although if you're not a first-year student, you are more than welcome to be in this session. That is no problem. A couple of logistics first before we get started. If you have any questions you would like to ask during the presentation, please put it in the Q&A section. Not the chat function. So we will be answering questions in the Q&A section of the webinar. You should see it in your taskbar. And this session is being recorded. So if you need to leave early, you will have access to it later on, although we do encourage you to stay through the end so that you can hear from our returnees and be able to ask questions while you have us here live today. So again, thank you for joining us. We'll go ahead and get started. A little bit about who we are, and you'll see us, at the end of the webinar. We'll have our cameras on so you can see who we are. But I am Genesis Herrera. I'm one of the regional advisors in the office. I specifically advise for all programs in the Americas, so that's including Canada and the Caribbean, as well as Latin America, as well as Spain, the Czech Republic, and Russia. I also currently advise for our virtual summer internship programs. And I myself studied abroad as an undergraduate student in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Hi everyone, my name is Paspita Hutaju. I'm the UCSB administrative assistant, and I also study abroad during my undergraduate year in Singapore at the National University of Singapore.
Hi everyone, I'm Alice. I'm a regional advisor as well. I advise for programs in Netherlands, Italy, Iceland, Ghana, South Africa, and Australia and New Zealand. And I'm happy to be here. And I've also studied abroad, and I went to Tokyo, Japan.
So I see that these subtitles are not catching things exactly as we're speaking. So if you're only reading and not listening, I apologize. We will do our best to talk clearly. We also have two of our peer advisors with us today. Casey and Cyril, could you quickly introduce yourselves and share your major and where you studied?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Casey. I am a fourth-year language, culture, and society major. I studied abroad at the University of Bologna in Italy last year for what should have been my entire year, but I had to come home due to COVID. And now I work as a peer advisor with UCSB EAP. Thanks for coming today.
Hi, I'm Cyril. I'm currently a peer advisor at the UCSB EAP office, and I studied abroad in Singapore at the National University of Singapore. I'm currently a third-year Earth Science and Physical Geography double major. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Paspita to get us going.
So as you know, we're still in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to the fluid nature of COVID, UCAP is continually monitoring the situation and will make decisions with students' health and safety in mind. Currently, all of our summer 2021 in-person programs have been canceled, and a select few fall 2021 in-person programs have also been canceled. As of today, we're expecting some of the other programs to continue as planned, and we're optimistic for future study abroad terms. So this would be the next academic year. However, even with this, unpredictable situation, we do encourage you to apply so that you won't miss out on the chance to study abroad should the programs run during your EAP term.
All right, so with that said, like Paspita said, we are moving forward with recruiting students to study abroad right now for programs happening as of next January. So we did our fall round of applications already, and now we're moving forward to what seems like a way more likely time to travel and study abroad. And so we wanted to hold this info session to get you all as first-year students kind of started on the process. We're sure that you've been on Zoom and trying to attend things this year, and maybe just having a lot of Zoom fatigue. So we're really happy that you're here, and we want to share with you just a couple of the benefits of the benefits that you have when you study abroad. And the first one being that it's really an investment in your future and a way for you to distinguish yourself from your peers. It's something that, you might not realize it right away when you're doing it, but that will really come into play when you're moving forward into graduation and postgraduate life, looking for jobs or applying to graduate schools, law schools, whatever it may be. It's definitely a way for you to distinguish yourself from your peers who did not take this opportunity or did not have the chance to do so, because it shows that you not only, are a great student attending one of, a top university in the country, but that you also took the additional challenge of going to study abroad in a completely new place. It's a way for you to gain academic, professional, and life skills. You're able to network a lot with other students, both US students and students from the country that you are going to. You're able to network with professors, study center staff, other professionals in the city if you decide to intern or participate in research, or if you're just meeting people when you're out and about. And it's definitely a way for you to gain really great life skills. It's a way for you to kind of push past those cross-cultural barriers, those language barriers, and really learn how to think on your feet in really challenging or unfamiliar situations. You definitely learn a lot about yourself, even if you don't realize it while you're in it. If you decide to study abroad in a place where English is not the native language, then it's a really great way for you to either learn or master another language if you already have a background in something. And that's really beneficial, I think, in any future career that you may have or in any kind of postgraduate plans, especially in a place like California, where so many different languages are spoken. I don't think that, that's ever going to be a negative aspect of your background. So definitely learn or master another language if you have the chance to do so. It's a way for you to graduate on time, as much of a myth as that may be, that you cannot graduate on time if you study abroad. That's actually not true. And we have found through reports that students who study abroad are actually more likely to graduate on time than students who do not. And that's because we force our students to go and speak to their academic advisors and really do academic planning to make this happen. So sometimes students don't meet their advisors until, late in their college career. And sometimes, things happen throughout their time. They maybe missed something that had to do with their degree progress or whatnot, so they end up falling a little bit behind. But we have found, like I said, statistically, that students who study abroad are actually more likely to graduate on time than their other peers. And spending time away studying abroad does not necessarily mean missing out on things here at home. And so for all of you attending this meeting, if most of you are first-year students, that means that you've missed out on your entire first year at our beautiful campus. You missed out on what a typical student life experience is, the residence halls, getting involved with clubs and all of that, which we know is definitely, affecting your entire college career. And for those of you, if you're not a first year, you've also missed out on more time than that. But we hope that you realize that this is a really great opportunity that really doesn't come by later in life. Studying abroad and traveling abroad, through vacation or for a short period of time as a tourist, is a really different experience. And you'll hear some of this when you're hearing from the PAs a little bit later on. So we know that, for those of you who have been away from Isla Vista and UCSB, you really want to maximize the time on campus, and we totally get that. But we also want to make you aware of these opportunities because, like I said, it's something that you only really have the chance to do while you're in undergrad or potentially in graduate school. But once you graduate and enter, the real world, I can speak for myself, it's very difficult to go and spend a prolonged period of time in a different country and really get immersed in the culture. So if you have any concerns or doubts about studying abroad, especially because you have missed out on time on campus, please do talk to us and let us know. And, we'll share our own experiences with you. We'll tell you why we think it's beneficial, and hopefully, you can make an informed decision. But UCSB and Isla Vista are not going anywhere. And so, we really encourage you to take the chance if you have it. And UCSB will always be home for everybody. So I'll turn it over now to Kaspita.
So these myths that we'll be presenting are things that you're probably thinking of, like why reasons why you couldn't study abroad, and we'll be here to kind of debunk them. And Genesis have covered a few things, but there will be other things I'll be expanding on. Oh, Genesis next.
Oops, sorry about that.
Okay, so I can't study abroad because I have a rigorous 4-year plan and I don't want to delay graduation. So Genesis covered a little bit of this in the previous slide. However, yeah, with proper planning, you can fit study abroad in your 4-year plan. Key is to start early and to have to be communicating with your advisors. And just like she said earlier, a lot of students that study abroad have managed to graduate within their 4 years, and there have been some students that even managed to graduate a quarter in advance. Next. Okay. Study abroad is just too expensive and only an option for students who are well off. We hear this a lot from students just because travel is a luxury and it's a privilege to travel. However, actually, depending on the country, program, and how long we'll be going abroad, you might actually save more money than staying at UCSB. Some countries' cost of living are cheaper than staying at UCSB and IUB, so you can save more money by saving on housing and food and things like that. In addition, we also have scholarship opportunities, and if you're on financial aid, your financial aid will travel with you. So study abroad is financially possible. Next. My next myth, I can't study abroad in a certain country because I don't speak the local language. We offer programs with courses taught in English in countries where English is not one of their official languages. Some of the examples are going Korea and China. There are courses taught in English, and you'll be with international students, local students studying courses in English, and it's a great way to also practice the language outside of the campus. So there are universities that you can go to where you can take courses in English without speaking the local language, and even if English is not one of their official languages. Next. I love UCSB and my friends and don't want to miss out on anything here. I'd rather just travel after I graduate. So this is something Genesis covered earlier. Traveling after graduation, it's also, take it from me, someone who's now working, it's just harder to travel once you become an adult and start a job because the time is just not there. And studying abroad and traveling are just two different experiences. With studying abroad, there are opportunities that you can get, such as connecting with local students, networking. Just living abroad and traveling are completely different experiences, and you don't want to miss out on the chance to do this as a college student. While you have the time and while you have resources such as our office, scholarships, those things that can help you study abroad, also save money while doing so. Here we have scholarships you can apply for and financial aid for you to take with you when traveling, because after you graduate, it's going to be hard to just start saving those money for to travel leisurely. Next. I don't have time to study abroad because I need to find an internship or conduct research here at UCSB. So there's actually opportunities abroad to do research and find internship. We have a program sheet that actually lists out programs where you can conduct your own research or find an internship. And this might actually be easier than trying to find an internship at UCSB and competing with more students. So you can definitely do research and find an internship abroad. Next. UCSB EAP versus UCAP. So why are we distinguishing these two? So UCSB EAP, it's the UCSB Education Abroad Program Office. So this is our office. This is UCSB Campus Department for Study Abroad Advising. We only advise UCSB students, and we'll be helping you in that process. Whereas UCEAP is the official study abroad provider for the entire UC system. So they're providing for everyone in the UC system and advising students from all across the UC. So we are on campus, so once we can all gather in person, you can find us in South Hall 2431, while UCAP is off-site and with staff that assist students from all campuses. So luckily for us, actually UCAP is located in Goleta, so not that far from our campus, but not as convenient as our office, which is on UCSB. So our office advises for all programs run by UCAP, and UCAP creates and administers the UC-wide Study Abroad program. So they're the ones that are actually, that create all the programs that you'll be applying for, and they're the ones that have host university relations. Okay, so our campus, our office handles the recruitment process, the program advising and application processing, while theirs office will be working with you on your pre-departure stage and when you're on site. So once you've been nominated for a program, you're more likely to work with UCAP on things such as visas, housing, housing abroad, and registering for classes. And below we have the 2 websites that if you want to explore more.
Great, so I will take you and do a demo of both websites in just a sec, but I want to add that sometimes students will approach us to ask about other program providers, or sometimes they've taken a look at our program offerings and they're interested in other locations that they don't see on our websites. And so if that is the case and you have questions about programs that are outside of UCEAP, unfortunately, we cannot help you with that because we don't work with those programs. Other UC campuses, like if you have friends who are attending other UC campuses, it's very likely that that they've seen or potentially have applied to other programs that we don't offer because their university, their UC campus does offer it. But here at UCSB, we only advise for programs administered through UCEAP. I hope that makes sense, but if you have any questions about that, please feel free to put it in the Q&A. So now I'll quickly walk you through the UCEAP website and show you a couple of things. So this is, again, the system-wide website that all UC campuses refer to find program information. If you go to the main link, this is the landing page. So you can read more about these topics, or you can exit out and see kind of the main page. Once you're here, there's a bit of information if you scroll, through this landing page. Or you can start by the menu up here. There's a couple of different ways to search for programs. If you go to Explore UCEAP, you can either search by region of the world. So first by kind of continent, and then you would select a country. You can search by field of study. So if you want to search by your discipline and then your major, you can do that as well. Or you can search by experience type. So whether you want an immersion type program or an internship or research program, or you want a program with just international students, this is how you would kind of search for that. Let me take you just by region quickly. And we'll do Europe since I know it's really popular, and I advise for the Czech Republic, so we'll go here. The Czech Republic page will then show you all of the programs that are offered in the country. So in the Czech Republic, we only have 2, both of which are in Prague. And then if you clicked on one, you would find, info at a glance and a whole lot of other detailed information here. So if you want to know what the housing arrangements is, what kind of classes you're taking, and of course the cost, this section is where you would find it. And it'll show you, of course, which terms the programs are offered. You can also find that up here when the programs actually run. So this is an example with just 2 programs in the country. Let me quickly show you one that will have more options. So if you're searching for programs in Italy, here it'll quickly tell you we have 11 programs across 4 universities and some study centers. So you'll see a much wider list, right? And so going through this, you can see, and then load more, what programs are offered in Italy specifically. So not all countries offer the same amount of programs. Sometimes it's a big list. Sometimes it's just one program that is offered, but this is how you kind of navigate this website. If you wanted to search by discipline instead, like I said earlier, you could do so by clicking here, and then it's basically a search filter. If you want to search for business and econ courses, you could do it that way. So you kind of just play with this and see what you find. So now I'll walk you through our website. This is the campus specific website. This is where you will find all of our information. Let's see, first off, if you go to the Contact Us button up here, this is how you will find our office hour information, advisor drop-in information, who are the advisors actually are. So there's more of us. Alice, Puspita, and I are just half of the staff, but here you can see everybody else and who advises for what. So if you have specific questions about a country and you want to speak to an advisor about that specific country, then you know exactly who to reach out to. You can always start with any of us, but we will only, probably refer you to the advisor for that program. So if you were to ask me anything about like the Netherlands, for example, I don't really know that much about their program, so I would refer you to Alice, who's the advisor. On this website, you will also find, our peer advisor information. So you'll hear from Cyrus and Casey in just a little bit, but here you will find their office hours and where they studied and some of their involvements and their majors. There's a lot of info on here, but I want to just quickly show you where to find news and events so that when you are browsing through our website in the fall, you will see a similar calendar like this, and we will have a lot more info meetings. If you want to attend more this quarter, you can see what we're offering through April and May. And in terms of getting started, we're covering steps with you in this presentation, but you can always refer back to our website for how to get started, how to apply, and just any other information that is relevant to you up here. All right, so I'll turn it back over to Puspita.
Okay, so you're probably now thinking, how do I even start choosing a program? So attending this meeting is a great first step. We are showing you just the overview of the two different websites, and you can kind of now see like how to navigate it. So with that, you can now start to check out programs. You can look through the UCAP website, look by countries, or you can even check by eligibility. So on the UCAP website, you can filter by GPA or by your major, and that's how you can start thinking about which program will fit you. Next, decide when you want to study abroad. Do you want to study abroad next year, your senior year, over the summer? There's no exact answer to when everyone should study abroad. It's just thinking about when's the best time for you to study abroad. So how you can figure that out is, what does your major look like? Are there sequences that you have to complete a certain year? Are there only courses that are offered in a certain program that will prevent you from studying abroad, let's say in fall? Like those types of things. And then once you figure that out, attend our other info meetings. We have major and country meetings held every fall quarter. And once you start going through all that, figuring out country you want to go to, then you can apply. So you can only apply for one program per EAP term. So research all these great options there's available to you, and then mark the app deadline. So for next, we actually have a spring 2022 program deadline coming up in May. But if that's too early to start planning, most of our fall program deadlines happen in winter quarter. So that's fall 2022. Yeah. Next.
All right, so for now, these are just some important points to keep in mind that you can kind of actively start working on, even if you don't know exactly when it is that you plan to study abroad. So passports, it's definitely a good idea to order them now, or at least check when your current passport is expiring if you already have one. since a lot of you are first years, and if you already have a passport, it's probably a passport that you got before you were 18 years old, in which case the passport will only be valid for 5 years. It's very likely that by the time you're getting to actually apply to go abroad, you will need to apply for a new one. So the earlier you do this, or the earlier you know when you need to renew it, the better. For EAP purposes, passports must be valid through at least 6 months after you're supposed to return from abroad. So if you look at your passport and you're like, oh yeah, like my passport ends, X date, it'll be valid by then, you need to make sure it'll be valid for at least 6 months after you're projected to return. So I know that gets a little confusing. If you have questions about that, please let us know. But this is just to say, if you have a passport, look at when it expires. If you don't have a passport, try to apply for one as soon as you can. It'll be useful to you for a lot of different reasons, even if you don't end up studying abroad. And it'll be valid for 10 years. So it's just encouraged that you get it as soon as possible so that if and when you do decide to apply, you are ready to go with your passport. Language or course prerequisites. A lot of programs might have, language classes you need to take in order to be eligible before you go. Sometimes specific courses in certain majors, like if you're going on an econ program, you might have already needed to take econ courses. I advise for a Costa Rica program that requires students take X number of bio-related courses before departure. So it's really important that you know what the program requires if you think you will apply at some point, especially when it comes to language classes, because sometimes certain language levels are only offered certain quarters. So if you miss it once during the year, that could be the only time you would have been able to take it. So it's important, again, look at what's required so that you can plan ahead and be able to take the classes you need in order to be eligible. Money. It's a good idea to start saving now if you think that this is something you're going to do at some point in your college career. So if you are, receiving financial aid and you've been able to, live at home this year and put some of that money away, definitely keep doing so. If you've not had to pay for rent this year, if you've received a stimulus check this time around, for example, or if your parents were able to start putting some money aside for this, it's a really good idea to do so, just so that even if you have financial aid, or if you're able to cover this out of pocket, or if you earn some scholarships, you will still have some cushion money to be able to go and do a lot more fun stuff and travel and see other places. So wherever you can, we encourage you to start just putting money aside like a piggy bank so that you can have a cushion of money ready to go. If you receive financial aid, of course, continue to fill out your FAFSA. But if you know that you won't receive aid, still apply for a FAFSA, because if you are offered loans, you're considered a financial aid recipient, and that could really come, be beneficial for you later in the process when it comes to scholarships. So again, even if you don't expect to receive any grants or scholarships through FAFSA, do still apply. It's encouraged that you do so, even if it's just for them to offer you loans. You don't have to take out the loans, but the mere fact that they offer them to you would make you a financial aid recipient. And again, that could be really beneficial for you later on in the process. So now, Casey and Cyric, you can turn your cameras on. I think the students will be able to see you. And we'll start with Casey, but both of you, could you tell us why you chose your program and how you planned for this as a first year?
Yeah, definitely. So hi everyone, again, I'm Casey. And I basically chose my program based on a few pieces of criteria. So first of all, I knew that I wanted to get major credit while I was abroad. I wanted to stay on track to graduation. So I started looking at different programs that had courses in the linguistics department, which is what I'm studying. And after kind of looking into those, then I thought about what languages I was the most interested in. So I studied Spanish in high school, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue learning Spanish. So I enrolled in an Italian course because to me, those languages have a lot of cognates and similarities, and then ended up really loving the language. So then, thinking about studying abroad, I thought to myself, maybe I'd like to go to Italy. I'm learning the language right now, and they offer courses that are in line with my major. And then when I looked at the University of Bologna, they offered the year-long program. And I knew for a fact that I wanted to go abroad for the entire year and really get the most out of my experience. So that's kind of how it all came together for me. Of course, it took a lot of research, going into the office, asking questions, getting to know people who had gone to the University of Bologna before to see what their experiences were like. So it was really fun actually kind of doing all that research and deciding, seeing where I could live possibly for the next year, kind of imagining myself there. And that's like a piece of advice that I would give you guys when you're planning to go abroad. Can you really picture yourself there? Can you picture living there, studying there? I could really picture myself in Italy and learning the language. And so I'm really glad that it all worked out. I definitely took a long time to plan my time abroad as well, because just as Genesis was saying, especially with financial aid, I'm a financial aid recipient. And so it was important to me to pick a program that I could afford. And going to the University of Bologna actually cost a few $1,000s less than it would have for 1 year at UCSB. So that was something that really sparked my interest as well. I was also a scholarship recipient. So, just a reminder to all of you to keep an eye out on those scholarships and apply for them early on if you can. Because they're a great way to help subsidize some of those costs and fees. So yeah, that's a little bit about how I started out in my study abroad journey. And yeah, I'm so glad I got to do it.
Thank you. Syra, could you share a bit about why you chose your program and how you planned for this as a first year?
Yeah, of course. So I chose Singapore because ever since entering college, I kind of wanted to go study abroad, and I knew it was somewhere in Asia for sure, because I really like how vibrant Asian cities were and how convenient everything is. So I decided on Singapore because I did a bit more research on the College of NUS, and they had really good classes for my major. And since I went as a second year, I applied and did my research during my first year winter quarter. And it took a lot of research, like what courses they offer and what courses can transfer back. So I talked a lot to my major advisors for geography and earth science, and also the College of Letters and Science advisors to see like what kind of classes I take, what can satisfy for my GEs. And with a lot of research and like communicating with my advisors, I was able to spend a full year abroad in Singapore, even as a STEM major. So that was pretty nice, yeah. And also for financial aid, I also took into consideration, because I do get financial aid. And same as Casey, Singapore is actually cheaper to go for a full year than staying at SD. And I also applied to scholarships, and with the scholarships, it made the program a lot more affordable. I was able to use that for my accommodations and for traveling and stuff. So yeah, be sure to apply to scholarships.
Thank you. Casey, could you tell us a bit about where you lived, what kind of housing arrangement it was, and where it was in the city, proximate to your school?
Yeah, absolutely. So for my particular program, so for every program, it's a little bit different for housing. Some programs will have, preset housing for the students when they go abroad. But for mine, we students had to find our own housing before we went. And we were provided with lots of links and resources to, look up housing, but we got to secure it for ourselves. So I personally stayed at a dormitory style building that was just outside the center of the city. And so I would take the bus into the city every day for classes. The buses were really convenient. Public transportation in Italy is amazing, especially in the bigger cities like Bologna or Rome or Venice. So I was really grateful that I had that opportunity to kind of live outside of the center of the city, because I felt like I could have time to myself, and it's way less busy and less crowded, less noisy over there where I stayed. And it's called Camp Plus Bologna. If any of you are interested in studying abroad in Italy and are looking for accommodations, Camp Plus Bologna was really nice. I had a meal plan as well, so I didn't have to worry like every day about where my next meal was coming from. And I would say, the apartments were also a great way to go if you're looking for your own housing. Specifically in Bologna, I can speak from my experience. My friends who had apartments in the center of the city, they were close to everything. They were close to their classes, to all the restaurants and the museums that they wanted to go to. But it was a lot louder there, of course, because it's right in the center, hustle and bustle. But it was really fun being able to go to the center of the city and stay at their apartments for dinner or for the night, after we go out. So yeah, you really can't go wrong. in a city like Bologna because, again, of the great public transportation, and there's pros and cons, I think, to any place that you live. So I enjoyed living at the dormitory personally, and I had my own room and my own bathroom, which I really enjoyed. But if you're looking for maybe a more immersive experience and you want to live with international students, I would recommend looking for an apartment more towards the center of the city.
Cyrix, same question.
Yeah, so for me, I kind of lived in like a apartment style building. It's kind of like a newer one called Utown Residence if anyone wants to go to Singapore, especially NUS. And compared to UCSB and Ivy housing, it's actually a lot more affordable. I was able to share like a house with kind of like an apartment with 3 other exchange students. We all shared a bathroom and a kitchen, and we all had single rooms. So it was like a dorm kind of located in the center of campus. So there was food everywhere, but unfortunately we didn't have a meal plan. So I do have to eat out for pretty much every single meal. So that's kind of the difference between like a dorm with like my dorm and Casey's dorm. So yeah.
Great, thanks. And Casey, last question for you. Could you tell us a bit about the internship you did while you were in Bologna?
Absolutely. So I knew going to University of Bologna that I wanted to do some kind of internship, but I didn't know really what it was I wanted to do. I had read some descriptions that were offered through the host university's website, and nothing really seemed to click with me personally. So when I got there, I discussed internship opportunities with my supervisors at the UC Study Center in Bologna, and that's Dr. Peggy Kidney and Mayu, and they helped me create my own internship through the UC Study Center. So my role within this internship was to be a liaison for University of Bologna students and UCEAP students so that they could get to know each other. And the UCEAP students would be able to get to know Bologna a little bit better and their peers a bit better. And then the University of Bologna students who I helped out were ones that had already been accepted to universities of California for the following year for their study abroad experience. So I got to pair them up with UC students that studied, let's say, UC Davis, and they got accepted to UC Davis for the following year. So they got to know each other, see maybe where they might be living for the next year, what professors they like, and then in turn, the University of Bologna students kind of help them acclimate to the environment that us, UCEAP students were in at the time. So it was really cool getting to have that kind of reciprocity in real time. I feel like a lot of the time you go abroad and then you'll come back and then you'll see, oh, like they studied abroad. Oh, look, these people, were at the University of Bologna when I was there, but I didn't see them. So this was a great way for all of us to kind of connect at the same time. We had a meet and greet, we had a museum tour together. And then I started the Campus Representatives program, which linked them with students who studied at the universities that they were interested in. So yeah, it was a great opportunity. I got to learn a lot more about the city and how the education system works in Italy through this internship. And I got to know a lot of really great people who were studying at the University of Bologna. So I really enjoyed creating my own internship. And so I guess a piece of advice I would have is if you don't click with any of the internships that you're looking into right now, I would say, talk to your UC Study Center advisors and see what kind of advice they might have for you. They might know about internships that, aren't on your university's website. They might help you create your own internship like I did. There's so many possibilities out there. So don't give up if you're interested in doing that.
Thank you. And Cyrix, the last question for you is, what advice do you, as a double STEM major who did a whole year program, what advice do you have for other STEM majors who could be in the room right now?
Yeah, so definitely I would advise you guys to do a lot of research because that's the most important part. Since for STEM majors, there is usually like a rigid schedule of when you have to complete classes. So second is that communicating with your major advisors, because they would be more than likely to help you plan and give you advice on when to go, like what year to go, if you should go for like a full year, semester. And lastly, I would really look at the course catalog and what past students have taken. So on our website, the UCSB EAP website, there is a feature called like Got Your Credit Abroad, where you can kind of search what past students of your major, what they studied in the country of your interest, and like what classes they took, what major credit they got back. So I did a lot of comparisons through that, and also comparing with what courses NUS was offering, and through that, yeah, I got all my classes to count towards my major or GEs. So yeah, that's my biggest advice.
Should they do it as STEM majors or should they stay home?
They should totally do it as STEM majors. And yeah, you can take classes that aren't offered here, and the opportunities you get is just like, yeah, you won't receive those opportunities at SB. So I would definitely recommend going as a STEM major.
Thanks, Cyric. And just to clarify something that I don't think we clarified earlier, if this is the first meeting that you attend for EAP, is that all the classes that you take abroad are going to be considered UC credit. They will show up eventually on your UCSB transcript as UC units and UC courses. So everything that you take abroad is going to come back with you home automatically. However, in order to have them count for a specific requirement within your major or a minor or a GE requirement, it is an additional step that you need to take to petition them for official credit within your majors. And it's because your major department or minor or college need to see that what you took abroad corresponds to what your major is requiring here. So this is what both PAs are referring to when they say work with your department so that you can make sure it'll count for major credit. But regardless of whether you intend to use it for major credit or not, you will still get those units as official UC units. Both PAs touched on housing while they were abroad. So I'm sure you're wondering about how housing works here, during the time that you're away. And the first thing to say is that we don't expect you, nor do we want you to be paying for rent here in California and abroad. So while students are abroad, what you do with your housing here really depends on what arrangement you have just before you left. So if you had already signed a lease for an apartment, let's say, it's very common that students will find subleasers for the time that they're going to be abroad. If you have not signed a lease and you plan to live in university housing and you've already applied to university housing at that time, then it might be possible for you to cancel your contract. Or if not, I believe that housing can work with you to kind of find other options. So there's not one size fits all statement that I can make here about how housing works because it'll be so different for each student. But the main thing we want you to know is that you shouldn't be paying for rent here while you're also paying for rent abroad. If you have questions about on-campus housing, so this is university-owned residence halls or apartments, you would work with the UCSB-owned housing staff. And if you are interested in or have off-campus housing in Isla Vista, so this is where you're paying rent directly to a landlord or something like that, then the community housing office staff are the ones that will help you kind of navigate that process. They have a website with rental listings in Isla Vista, Goleta, and the Santa Barbara community. So for any housing related questions that pertain to the time you will be gone, if you need help finding a subleaser, if you have questions about contracts, you can find how to contact them on this website, the housing.ucsb.edu website, and they will kind of take it from there. But if you have any questions right now that we can potentially address, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. If you have not yet been to Isla Vista at all because you've been away from campus this year, this is our welcome sign that's at the beginning of IV if you're coming in from Goleta. And on the right is a picture of what a typical apartment view would look like in Bordeaux, France. So this is outside someone's balcony.
So we have many info sessions going on. This is just the first of many for this quarter, and we have many more this week and next week. So we can't cover everything in this session. So if you'd like more specific information on finances, academics, a scholarship, or just get another overview of study abroad, we have different sessions this week, and you can find the Zoom link on our news and events page. And specifically our Study Abroad 101 and Cost on Scholarships, those are weekly. So if you can't make it this week, you can always go on another week. And most of these sessions will be recorded and we'll be posting it on our YouTube and on our news and events page.
Thank you. And Casey, could you quickly talk to us about the Study Abroad Club?
Yeah, of course. So tomorrow night we will be having a study abroad club meeting from 5 to 6 p.m. over Zoom. You guys can find the link to the Zoom meeting on our Shoreline account and through our Instagram as well. So the Study Abroad Club is a place for students to come who are interested in studying abroad and for returnees to go who have already studied abroad to share their experiences with these students who are interested in going. You can also meet other students who are interested in perhaps the same programs that you are. And we discuss topics that pertain to studying abroad, stuff like culture shock and learning new languages, and, you know, from everything to like, what should you pack to like, so how does everyone feel about traveling during COVID? So it's a great place just to have a discussion with other students who share the same interests as you. And tomorrow night, we're going to be discussing the different types of programs we offer. So if you're still not sure whether or not you want to do an immersion program, an internship, a research program, we're going to be discussing the differences between those tomorrow night. So this is great for first years who are still looking into them and doing lots of research. So I hope to see you there. We also hope to do these bi-weekly. So we'll have another meeting, not next Tuesday, but hopefully the Tuesday after that during week 5. But we'll keep you guys posted. Thanks, Joseph.
Casey, and for students returning to campus next year, can you talk about what the club typically does in person when we're on campus?
Yeah, for sure. So I won't be here next year to see it, but hopefully whoever takes over the Study Abroad Club next year will host in-person meetings. Sometimes we have food, you know, we'll have tons of icebreakers and really great information. You know, we'll have documentaries that we might want to show next year. We also tried to do some community service as well as a club when I was president a couple years ago before I studied abroad, just to help clean up the environment that we're in and kind of centering us to get ready to go to another location. And we also have a lot of fundraisers too. We did fundraisers with Rockfire and Blaze Pizza a couple years ago to earn money for the club so that we can maybe go on some field trips or, you know, have food at our meetings, things like that. So yeah, it's just a really good environment for people to come together who share the interest of studying abroad. So hopefully when it's in person next year, they can continue to do that.
Thank you. So yes, if you're on campus next year, definitely check out the Study Abroad Club. It's also where we direct our inbound reciprocity students who come to do exchange at UCSB from a lot of other countries. So this is a great way to meet actual people who are doing exchange here and get to know about their cultures as well. So if you can attend tonight or tomorrow night, highly encourage you to do so. And if you have, you know, we still have about 10 minutes left for Q&A, so keep putting those in the Q&A section if you have them, and we can answer them live in just a bit. But if you want to reach out to us after this, the website, like I showed you under the contact us section, has how to reach us by Zoom, either the peer advisors who work our open hours during the week. So there's a total of 8 who are typically working our open hours from Monday through Friday. They'll rotate in and out and take shifts. Casey and Cyric are just 2 of them. So if you want to meet others, like I said, you can find where they studied and what their majors are on our website. And you can also, of course, find our advisor drop-in hours and emails on our website as well. So like I said, we have 10 more minutes for Q&A. At this time, I just want to remind you all that you were sent a virtual package with additional resources just before this presentation in your reminder email. So do feel free to check that out as kind of a quick way to get you started with some resources before going through and trying to dig through our websites. A survey will be sent out after this, and if you fill out the survey, you will be entered into a raffle for some gift cards. So if you want to win some goodies, please do give us feedback. It helps us with planning future info sessions that we might be wanting to do. Puspita, did I miss anything before we stop recording?
Oh, just that to be eligible for the raffle, you must be a UCSB student. So if you are a prospective student, prospective UCSB student, I'm so sorry, this raffle will only be eligible to current UCSB students.